No discussion about modern cinema can be completed without mentioning the great Martin Scorsese. Widely regarded as one of the greatest cinematic minds of our era, Scorsese has been captivating audiences on the silver screen since the 1960s. From gangster epics like Goodfellas and Gangs of New York to thoughtful biopics and mystery thrillers like The Aviator and Shutter Island, Martin Scorsese has shown an unparalleled talent for filmmaking. Through his years at the top of Hollywood, two actors have been Scorsese's go-to leading men: Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Scorsese's new epic, Killers of the Flower Moon, marks the first Scorsese film in which both actors have appeared together. So a comparison between these two cinema legends and their performance in the film is an absolute must. However, before we move on to Killers of the Flower Moon, let's talk a little about Scorsese's history with DiCaprio and De Niro, and how the two legends square up against each other. Let's start with some general numbers. De Niro has appeared in a total of 10 Scorsese films, whereas DiCaprio has appeared in 6. De Niro has won 2 Oscars, and one of them came for his role in Scorsese's Raging Bull. On the other hand, while Leonardo DiCaprio's long-awaited Oscar win was for his role in The Revenant, not a Scorsese film, his lead role in Scorsese's The Departed played a vital part in earning Scorsese the Academy Award for Best Director. Though all of Scorsese's films are generally highly regarded among critics and audiences, his films starring De Niro or DiCaprio stand out as particularly celebrated works. A closer look at their respective ratings on Rotten Tomatoes reveals a compelling narrative. The average rating for Scorsese-De Niro films on Rotten Tomatoes is 85%, whereas Scorsese-DiCaprio films maintain a solid rating of 80%. This comparison, while highlighting the excellence of both collaborations, suggests that Scorsese's films with De Niro have, on average, edged out those with DiCaprio in terms of critical reception. Still, the leading man in a film is only one factor that determines the overall rating of a film, and DiCaprio's average rating isn't that far behind De Niro. Apart from critical acclaim, the financial success of Scorsese films made in collaboration with De Niro and DiCaprio also sheds light on some interesting insights. On average, and adjusted for inflation, Scorsese-DiCaprio films have made an average of $168 million at the box office, whereas Scorsese-De Niro films have made $84 million. Collaboration with DiCaprio takes a significant lead here, more than double that of De Niro. Since when does Scorsese care about box office success? He definitely cares a lot more about making a good film rather than a financially successful one. Now, let's move on to the latest epic of Scorsese's illustrious cinematic career, Killers of the Flower Moon, a truly haunting tale of greed, power, and injustice, brought to life by two of Hollywood's most formidable talents, Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. Let's take a look at this cinematic masterpiece through the eyes of DiCaprio and De Niro and compare their performances. Killers of the Flower Moon is based on a non-fiction book of the same name written by American journalist David Grann, and it takes a lot of inspiration from another book named A Pipe for February, written by Charles H. Redcorn. Initially, the film was supposed to play out from the perspective of the FBI agents who come in to solve the Osage murders, and DiCaprio was supposed to play one of the heroic FBI agents. However, Scorsese later decided that the film should show the story of the Osage murders through the eyes of the people who suffered from it. So, while doing their research for the movie, Scorsese and his team came across the story of Ernest Burkhart and Molly Kyle. They found the story of this couple fascinating, as it holds so much emotional complexity, especially for Molly, who is portrayed by Lily Gladstone in the film. The role of Ernest Burkhart, Molly's husband, is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and I must say that this was one of the best performances of Leo's entire career. Though he has played some incredible characters, this one especially stands out for multiple reasons. Firstly, unlike the usual characters Leo plays, this character isn't the hero of the story. I mean, Leo has played some villainous and rather dislikable characters before, like Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street and Calvin Candy from Django Unchained. But even those characters can be defined as confident, strong, and competent. Yet, we can understand very early on in the film that Ernest Burkhart is a character weighed down by weakness. He isn't someone confident or motivated and is easily manipulated and controlled by others. Secondly, Ernest Burkhart is a figure torn between his love for his wife Molly Kyle and his greed, which is enabled by his uncle, William Hale. For a major part of the film, Burkhart actively plots to kill his wife's family, but still claims to love his wife. And at the end, he tries to testify against his uncle, but claims to be loyal to him as well. Now, this seems something quite impossible to understand. However, the way Leo plays the character, you can see these complex emotions come through his performance, mixed with fear, anxiousness, and regret. This, in my opinion, makes Leo's Ernest Burkhart in Killers of the Flower Moon one of his best performances. Now, let's take a look at Robert De Niro's William King Hale. To call his character a wolf in sheep's clothing would be an understatement. It is an interesting character because he has almost everyone in the narrative convinced that he has their best interest in mind, whereas only we, the viewers, know what his true intentions are. Sure, De Niro has played cruel and villainous characters before, but his performance as William Hale is on another level of sinister. Most of De Niro's villainous characters have a certain duality and a conflicted nature, where it feels like there can be a redemption for him. That is not the case with William Hale, and De Niro captures this perfectly. See, one of the best things about his performance is that he never overplays his character. There is no moment where the delivery of his dialogues or his expressions convey the foulness of his intentions. Instead, even when he is talking about killing people, it feels like he's just going through his grocery list. In short, his performance doesn't feel like a typical villain from a fictional story. De Niro's acting is subtle, but it is the perfect representation of a true villain from a real story. This is also the reason why his performance is so chilling. Unlike some of his other villainous characters, William Hale feels very real, and almost everyone watching the film can relate to the people being manipulated by him, because they have been manipulated by someone in real life. Watching him use his charm and put on a fake smile while he plots against the Osage people takes the audience to a very uneasy, and for many people, a very familiar place, which shows just how amazing of an actor De Niro is, even at 80 years of age. Though much has been made about the trio of Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert De Niro coming together for Killers of the Flower Moon, you can't talk about this film and the stellar performances in it without mentioning Lily Gladstone. Gladstone's Molly Kyle is the soul of this film, and I believe that her character makes the entire movie. If it wasn't for her incredible performance, which connects us to humanity under the horror, we would experience the entire narrative through the eyes of greedy, racist, and malevolent characters. Gladstone's Molly Kyle is a character rooted in love. It is evident in the film that Molly is aware of the precarious nature of the world around her. She can see Ernest's greed as clear as day, but it's her love for him that makes her want to ignore the signs that are in front of her. When Scorsese says that this is a film about love, he is absolutely right. Now, it may not be the kind of love story we expect from Hollywood, but it shows a more darker and sinister side of love. That is true all the same. Overall, all three stars in this film had a monumental task in front of them, and they delivered exceptional performances. Leo once again shows his incredible range as an actor, whereas De Niro shows that even at the age of 80, he is still in his acting prime. And of course, Lily Gladstone delivers a breathtaking performance, playing a complex character and forcing the audience to feel the emotions felt by the Osage people as they suffered from this great American tragedy. De Niro and DiCaprio previously worked together in 1993's This Boy's Life, as well as Marvin's Room back in 1996. However, at that time, DiCaprio was still a very young actor, so Killers of the Flower Moon marks the first time these two actors have performed against each other while being in their acting prime. The chemistry between these two actors was amazing in the film, and watching them act and play off of each other on set must have been an incredible sight to behold. Now, we got an insight into their on-set experience from a profile by the Wall Street Journal magazine, where Scorsese explained how De Niro was occasionally annoyed by DiCaprio's improv and acting methods. He said, "Now and then, Bob and I would look at each other and roll our eyes a little bit," Scorsese said, "and we'd tell DiCaprio, you don't need that dialogue." Comparing the two actors, Scorsese said the verbosity of DiCaprio was endless, whereas De Niro usually didn't want to talk at all. However, the contrasting styles of acting played off beautifully against each other and played into their incredible on-screen chemistry. Overall, Killers of the Flower Moon was an unforgettable film, and it almost seems unreal that still in 2023, we could watch actors like De Niro perform in a Martin Scorsese film alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, it's an absolute privilege to see these incredible talents, including Lily Gladstone, bring such a heavy story to life, which sheds light on an unfortunately forgotten tragedy in American history, while exposing the corruption of the American dream in the modern world as well.